This is lesson 15, and we're going to go on to another new song here. Another very familiar tune. Maybe you sang this song at some point in your life. On Top of Old Smoky. Now you're going to notice once again that we have a new key signature. And you remember I told you in the last video how to determine, a very easy way to determine what key you're in. Especially when you've got sharps in the key signature. Well, actually also when you've got flats in the key signature as well. And we'll get to that. But here we have a sharp. We have two sharps actually. And so you look for that last sharp as you're reading from left to right. The last sharp is located on the line, or rather on the space for C. So it's C sharp is the last sharp. Then you go up half a step, just half a step from C sharp. And that's D. And that means you're in the key of D major. Just like last time, we were in the key of G major because there's only one sharp in the key signature. You go up half a step from that one, F. The sharp is on the F line of the treble clef. You go up half a step from that F sharp to G, and you find out that you're in the key of G major. So here, we're in the key of D major, and we've got another song in 3/4 time, and there's a couple other things that I will explain about this song as we switch to the overhead camera. All right, as we look at this song, we've got a few new things to notice. We have a chord that we haven't used yet, which is D major. This is another song that will give you an opportunity to experiment with inversions, because you'll notice that the song goes from D major, and it goes right to G. So you'll notice that's kind of an awkward little jump there. So what if you played G like this? Yeah, it sounds pretty good. So you can practice going back and forth between D major and G major. Notice I'm playing G major in what we would call second inversion. There's G major as we normally learned it. If we take the bottom note and put it on top, it's still the root, it's still G major, but now it's in first inversion. Then if we take this bottom note and put this up here, now the root is in the middle, and we call this second inversion. So we move it down here, so you can go from D major in what we call root position, meaning the root is on the bottom. Play G major in second inversion, and you can go between D and G major very smoothly. So we have that chord to deal with now, and we have a new key signature. You'll notice now that we have two sharps. So you remember last time I told you how to determine what key you're in by looking for that last sharp, reading from left to right. So the last sharp is on the space for C in the treble clef. And so it's C sharp. And so what is the note that's half a step up from C sharp? Well, it's D. So we are now in the key of D major. So G major has one sharp in the key signature. D major has two sharps. You'll also notice that the first measure only has one note. And that's what we call a pickup note. In other words, you're counting to yourself and you're going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and that note falls on beat 3. And that second D is actually beat 1 of the first full measure. And notice one other thing. When you get to the end of the song, the last bar, or the last two bars, you've got a dotted quarter note, dotted half note rather, and it's tied to just a half note. So that last measure only has two beats. Well, why is that? Because we stole a beat from that last measure and put it at the beginning to make the pickup note. So that's what pickup notes are, just a note that comes before the first full measure. So in this case, you've got 2 beats of nothing, and it's basically starting 1, 2, dum, ba, da, da, dee. So let's play through this together. The chords would be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Now notice here, we've got this A7 chord. You could play it this way, and that would work. But let's try something here. This is going to be a little bit more interesting. We can do an inversion with this 4-note chord. What if we take the A off the bottom and put it up here? This is actually easier now to play, going from D major chord to A7. Instead of, and notice it even sounds a little smoother, doesn't it? This kind of sounds like you're jumping around a bit. This is very smooth. So we're actually using another inversion. This is the first inversion of a 7th chord. And then you could actually invert it again. This is the second inversion of a 7th chord. E, G, A, C sharp on top. A is still the root, remember, because that's the note after which the chord is named. You can even do third inversion. And then if you invert it one more time, we're back to where we started. So we're going to use this inversion for G major and this inversion for A7. And it's going to sound like this. All right. So I encourage you to work on this one. Take it as slow as you have to in order to be able to play it together. Start with one hand, add the then play the right hand part. Just get the melody down, play it together, and see how you do. I'm sure you'll do just fine.